Hello people, Duncan at Free as an Eagle. This is, I think, Tuesday afternoon. We survived the holidays. We're pretty cool. Had family up and did all the usual pool and cookout and fireworks and all the good stuff. And recovered and cleaned up from that yesterday, and then now back to the A to do a little more work. Finally getting into the stuff that I really live for when it comes to doing carpentry. I mean, I like all phases of construction pretty much, provided it's new work. That's the most fun. I don't really love demolition, but nevertheless, been doing a lot in the last couple of weeks, and right now the focus has been on my actual favorite part. I think last video I showed some of this deck construction. That was fun. Nice clean work. And then lately it's been the trim work, and I really love doing the final finish on things, and that's where it's a lesson in patience. I realize it's one of my goals on this go around of life, I think, is to learn patience, because lots of these things take a lot of time and you really want to get them right. It can take multiple attempts to get everything dialed in. And I think the last video I'd done these kitchen windows and enjoyed doing that little process with the trim, which all of a sudden it looks pretty, it looks finished. This one I ran out of the wood I needed on that window, and we were going to work on this counter. So my brother came up, I think it was last Friday maybe, and yeah, so he's good at construction. He's kind of the master plumber among us, and was eager to help with this. So I'd gotten this nice little farmhouse sink. My wife really liked this, and we decided to get that. It's very heavy. That thing weighs about 100 pounds. It's called Ironstone, I think. Deer Valley is the brand name. It was a very nice little sink. And fortunately, I wasn't sure how that was going to be built in, but it's kind of like an undermount sink where they put the counter over it or up under the counter. I was a little worried that, I didn't want to have to cut through the counter and caulk around it and do all those things, but we're going to have a guy come eventually and probably do Corian, something that's not as brutal on glassware as granite is, because my brother said, the displeasure of breaking most of his glassware by setting it hard on granite or dropping it, and it blows everything up. And it's nice, it's beautiful, but this surface may be a little more merciful on things. But nonetheless, he built this thing like the rest of his A-frame is built with extreme strength. So this thing being as heavy as it is, we decided to frame this with its own support system. So it's got little rails of 2x4s that connect to this, and then there's wood underneath this little platform. This platform allows for a little bit of a kick once the front of the cabinets and the doors are on. It'll have about 3 inches of kick space under it. Right now it doesn't look like it's got very much. And we got so enthusiastic about what we were doing, if we forgot to do the dishwasher cutout, but we realized it was easier to build this all at once, and then we'll just cut some of this platform out to make room for the dishwasher. You can see I got an outlet under there for that. So eventually that's going to happen. We'll finish trimming the window. So that's one project we've been working on. And the others is mostly lately trim. I finally got around to trimming out this little dining room window. This was originally going to be the kitchen sink window, and when we changed up the configuration to make that what was a bedroom the kitchen, then this became a dining area window, and I had fun trimming that out. That's a crank out window. It cranks out quite a good bit, like 90 degrees almost, so that'll let some air go through. And then I had done the sill, finally got the other pieces of trim on there. Had to do some painting and reconfiguring. So these strips that we have over here that are decorative and they cover up the seams every 4 feet were just sort of a fun feature. And I finally got the last of the ones on this side done. And then this area where we have a little balcony up above was done in Doug fir and then pine up above, V-groove pine, 2x6. So it's a floor and a ceiling at once. And then to finish that out, I filled the end in there, trimmed that out, and then had to add a little strip of wood under what was a ceiling joist, but it wasn't as thick as these, so I had to add a couple more inches to it. And then this area, I haven't gotten to it. This is tomorrow's project. I've got to run some trim wood in here to fill this in and make it look pretty, cover up anything that looks like a defect or something undone. Then this end, I was very happy to get this done, trying to get all this trim work done in the areas that are otherwise finished, that have the wiring in. I actually have the wiring in. I haven't put the little plates on these particular switches and outlets yet, but I'll probably get to that in the next few days. But these windows on the end wall are now trimmed out. And then I filled in, there was sort of a weird space here where the slider and these windows kind of are below the main area of windows. But I decided for fun to just trim it out this way. And I think it came out pretty good. But that's the stuff I really love doing, is all this trim work, because it's final stuff. And of course, you got to be careful. The more trim you do, the more careful you got to be going in and out of the doors and avoid collateral damage. There's still work going on upstairs here. I want to jump back on that and trim out these dormers and build that other wall. So many things still to do, but I'm trying to keep chipping away at it because it's the only way to get it done. And yeah, there's a lot of wood left. I'm using it up, but of course I keep ordering more. But I've got posts all finished and ready to be cut and installed along the stair railings, probably in the next couple of weeks. And then all this is other trim for doors and windows and filling in the gaps here and there. So we are making good progress. We did get around to sheetrocking. I had sheetrocked the upper part of this with some help to get this done. Well, we had some staging in here, and then we pulled the staging, and now we are going to, we'd actually sheetrock this area. Now that's got to be taped and sanded out, and then that will allow us to put the door in, and then the rest of the basement finish will be done after we move in, I think, because it's more of a priority right now to get everything else done. So that includes the trim in here, and then the upstairs, and then the 2 bathrooms, and of course this kitchen. So this part of the kitchen is probably the only part that's going to be really too complicated, because we've got a little bit of plumbing involved. And then over here, I set up a little kitchenette sort of thing. Keep moving things around in here because everything got mixed together. I'm like, no, I got to move everything to do with cooking and eating into the kitchen now, just since it makes sense and it consolidates it, separates it from all the tools. But yeah, we're getting to a point where there's going to be a little breakfast bar actually coming out between the windows, several feet, with room for a couple of bar stools. Then over here, there'll be an island kind of in the center of this big opening, and then that will be put in after the floor goes in. So actually I've got to take measurements today to order the floor so that can go in, and then once that's in, then we'll build the breakfast bar and the island on top of it, getting that little sink area set. That's where the floor will stop. So now that that's done, I can get a good measurement, not buy anything we don't need. But anyway, that's a little catch up. Just wanted to say hi and check in for those of you that are still keeping an eye on what's going on here. We're heading for the finish line. We're not there yet, but we're cranking away and making progress. So anyway, a nice day, and we'll just keep jamming. I'll see you again in a week or so. Take it easy.